Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about web developers for your startup. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, do I need a web developer for my startup? Well, that would depend on the startup, I suppose. But since startup, that term is, well, it's not really true, but it's almost a synonym now for, or byword for IT company. I'm just going to assume that you're going to start some type of IT company. So to answer this question, I will say that it very much depends on the workload that you're looking at. So usually what I find when people ask me about starting a company or starting any type of IT company is that they usually are coming from the entrepreneur perspective. It's not that often I see developers come to me and ask for this for advice on their products. So what usually happens is that you have a set of entrepreneurs who have an idea and they want to figure out, okay, how much is this going to require from me? And so if I want to help them out, I usually look at the specification and I look at like artboards or whatever it is that they're going to build, and then I can make a rough estimate based on the problem that they have, as I like to call it, or the project. Because the problem, as you probably heard me say before if you've been watching, is the thing that you need to focus on. You need to be a problem-oriented developer. That's what I am, or a solution-oriented developer if you want to be more positive. I don't I don't think that being problem-oriented is means that you're negative, but in this day and age, it seems to be that way. Because if you focus on the problem, you will understand what solution you need to reach for. And for the vast majority of human beings, this is not a problem. And that distinction is kind of arbitrary, but in software, I think it's probably the most important difference you can make because most developers care about solutions and cool tools more than fixing the thing that they are actually fixing. And the same thing goes for you starting your startup. You need to look at that problem and figure out, what do I need in order to solve this to satisfaction? This is, I will say to you, if you are not a software developer and a fairly sort of experienced software developer, you will not be able to guess this. For the most part, it's practically impossible for you to estimate how much you're going to need from a developer to build your thing. But you would be surprised at how many companies actually have a working business model without all that much IT involved. I am, for example, now working together with another company where they have a system that they need to be built, and they have been working for, I think it was 10 or 20 years with custom. Like, they're still practically a startup, but they've been doing most of their work in Excel, and they've just very recently realized that it would be pretty cool if we could upgrade that to like a full-fledged system, because it's a little bit clunky to do it in Excel. It works and they're making money from it and it's actually doing its thing, but they would like to improve upon it because now it's time to take the next step in their company's development, right? And I think this is absolutely genius, and that's the thing that you should ask yourself before you ask yourself if you need a web developer. Because if you have, let's say for the sake of argument, you have a retailing business, or most of what you do in your company to earn an income is sales. Well, if all you need is, say, a website or something like that, then you don't need a full-time web developer. Then I would go to a consultancy or an agency and pay them a one-time fee, or a one-time fee with maintenance cost, like that. That's also if you want them to manage the whole thing, because it's not your core business. It's not the thing that's going to bring in the money. It's completely pointless for you to try to go and find yourself a web developer is going to most likely sit there, build your website in X amount of time, and then have really nothing to do. It's actually a little bit of a risk in some cases as well, because now, well, unless you have someone who you can just kind of call upon. If you have a friend who is a developer, that's also very useful. So you can just opt in to having them around when you need them, instead of having them continuously. Because if you have them continuously, it's going to cost you money and they're not going to have anything to do, and that ultimately leads to you trying to give them things to do, and all of a sudden you're focusing on the wrong thing. So I think that it's better for you to just answer that question. Is my company building like a real IT product, or am I a startup that is more into the tradition, in the traditional sense, a company who's doing sales type of work or retailing or selling things or so forth, without the need for an entire IT platform? If you need if you're actually selling a digital solution, then yes, you will need a web developer, assuming of course it's a web product, because you will need to start, first and foremost, you need to build the proof of concept. Then you need to get some people invested into it, and the second people see that there's a value in your product, and that might take a few iterations before that happens, they're going to start asking, can you do this, can you add that, and so forth. They start buying into the thing, but there will always be new requirements. There will always be people who go, yeah, we want to fix this, we want to do that, and then they have bigger ideas. All of a sudden they want a mobile app to and things like that. Things kind of start snowballing on you if you meet success with a digital product. So in that scenario, definitely you need a web developer. So what I want you to take away from this is that first and foremost, before you hire a web developer for your startup, ask, what is my business? If you are building a software product, you're actually building a platform that people are going to use, a tool or a web shop or something like that, yes, you will need a software developer. If you are making a website to spread awareness about your company or get in contact with people or something like that, that is not something that requires continuous maintenance and continuous development. It's pointless to hire a web developer or like to have a full-time employee for that. It's much better for you to hire a consultancy or a friend if you can find someone that you trust. That's the most important thing when you're dealing with freelancers and things like that. Try to get a good referral, because there's a varying degree of quality on software developers, and you want someone who's good, who knows what they're doing. And that's very hard for you to figure out if you're not a technical person. So go with that route and just pay for getting that one-time setup of your company and the digital things that you need, and then focus on your core business. Don't hire a full-time developer or try to rope in a developer if you're not sure that you're going to be able to consistently keep them working, because then you're just going to waste time and focus and money and all this other stuff. It's the only time you really need a full-time web developer is if you're building a digital product where new features are coming in and you need to continuously develop it to be able to sell it to more and more customers. That's the way to go about it. Have a great day.